So today we are back with Seth at 90210 Watches, and we are going to discuss this crazy watch market because I think it's kind of collapsed. But let's get a professional's view. Seth, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Michael?
Good to see you. See, I'm playing shopkeeper as well. I'm behind the watches.
You look good behind the counter.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is the closest I've been to watches in a while. Tell us, what is going on? Watches have crashed, right?
So right now, there's a dip. That's all it is. It's a blip, it's a dip.
It's a big dip though, right?
It's not a big dip.
It's not a big dip.
It depends on what models we're talking about. That's
Okay.
that's the honest truth. If you're talking about, let's say, the core stainless steel Submariners, okay, so they're down 10%. If we're talking about some of the higher end APs that, let's say, 2 years ago were 35,000 and then 2 months ago they were 100,000, yeah, those are pulling back 20-30% at the most.
That's a big dip.
Okay, that's a big dip.
Let's put it this way. If you'd bought one of these watches at $100,000 and today it's worth $60,000, you'd be pretty upset.
Yeah. So we pulled out some nice pieces. I want to show you. I want to show you some examples of some things that have really taken a pullback.
Okay.
So for example, let's go with this one first. The John Mayer yellow gold Daytona green dial.
Is John Mayer's official name?
No.
Or is that a nickname given to it?
That's a nickname. At its peak about 2-3 months ago, these were 140, 150.
Wow.
And now they've pulled back to about 120.
And the list on this was what?
The list is close to 40.
Well, so it's still an incredible overage on the MSRP.
Oh yeah, a year ago this was 80,000. So at the end of the day, that's what we really should be discussing is that, yeah, sure, there's a pullback on these watches, but if you look at the numbers based upon where they were a year ago and then 2 years ago,
they're still way up. But you'd be upset if you were one of the unfortunate ones that paid the extra 20-30%, right?
Right.
So what do you predict is going to actually happen? What will happen to this watch? Will it maintain? Will it go down? Where's your thoughts and why?
Before we discuss that, technically speaking, what we should discuss is what's the actual realistic situation if you're a consumer, a private party, compared to a dealer.
I like that.
Okay, so let's say you're a collector, let's call it a collector, and you were fortunate enough to buy this watch from your authorized dealer at retail, and you now think that you've got yourself a $140,000 watch in your hand, and you want to liquidate that watch.
But then you're not a true collector.
Well,
then you're a dealer.
Well, you're a flipper.
A flipper,
you're
right?
A flipper,
You're a flipper.
or you play with watches.
Right.
So that's what a lot of my customers are, basically. They play with watches. So they know guys in the gray market, they know dealers, but at the same time, they network with authorized dealers and do their best to work the games that you have to play with these authorized dealers to try to get watches. You know, after working at authorized dealer and begging, and the watch finally came in, and you were fortunate enough to get this watch. What do you do with it now? How do you sell this watch? How would you sell it?
Well, I wouldn't, because the problem is they have serial numbers, right? And if your authorized dealer ever found out that you had sold that watch, you'd be blacklisted. So you never get any more.
Well, that's a good point. So
right. So I don't buy them to flip them. I buy them because I enjoy them.
Well, I know you
but I don't enjoy them anymore.
I know
I'm scared to
you don't
freaking
buy
buy them.
them.
That's besides the point.
You don't buy them to flip them, but I'm just saying there are guys that, you know, they feel like their payday came in. They got the watch for 40 grand plus tax, and now they think they've got themselves a $100,000 profit built in.
Right.
As of today, if you go and try to sell this watch to a dealer, it's not going to be so easy to find a dealer that's actually going to want to write a check for more than $90,000 for this watch.
Which is still a good profit.
That's still a good profit, but it's not $140,000.
But even that dealer today will be questioning, would this be worth 80 next week? Because the way they're falling, right?
Right. What I feel is going on in the market right now is the amount of people that have confidence in the market that are speculators is dwindling.
What do you think the reason for this is? Why are these watches going down? Because they were overinflated in the first place?
Watches started dipping in around April. This is the tax season. So this is always you see a lull in the market, but that's not why it's kind of sharp dipping. Because of the war, the whole economic situation is sort of in turmoil.
That's true. I
mean, just yesterday we had a dip in the stock market of, what was it? 800 points or something like that.
Yeah,
just
but the
yesterday.
Feds put the interest rate up by 0.5%, which was a huge increase. I mean, that's
So that's also
chasing the inflation.
right. The fact of the matter is, even though it's hard to sell a watch right now to a dealer, like it's hard to find guys to write checks at those old prices.
Right.
You don't really have people doing panic selling right now. So you can't go and buy a watch, let's say, that used to be at the top of the market. Let's say this one right here, this white gold that was fetching 75,000. You can't just go buy this watch for 50 grand right now.
Right.
It doesn't exist.
Right.
Like the market hasn't crashed.
But you
Like that.
wouldn't pay 70 for it anymore.
No, dealer's not going to pay 70, but it's hard to find it for less. That's.
But there's also the aspect. A lot of dealers, and I think it's the dealers that really they create the marketplace, right? They've bought all these watches. A lot of them have bought them at the old money, and they've sat on them, and they've watched them go up and up and up. They've held them back so that people can't go and buy the watches, and they've hiked the prices. People aren't buying them, so now they're dipping and trying to get them sold
Yeah, they're dipping, but only by like a very marginal amount.
at the moment.
Yes, at the moment. So it's sort of a situation where you don't really have people desperate to sell, and you don't have people desperate to buy right now. So the market's a little flat. That's why a lot of dealers complain there's really not a lot of action right now.
So let's go through some of these watches. Let's talk about their values.
So this is a Royal Oak. So years ago, this thing, let's say 3 years ago, this was a dog, this brown dial Royal Oak.
Ooh, that's painful to someone that owns one.
Yeah, but this was a dog and then became very collectible, this
Okay.
brown dial. So this went from being something that was trading in the $20,000 range, and then all of a sudden shot up into around, I've seen them around $60,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So I need 50 for this. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's staying.
wow.
It's totally scuffed up. It's unpolished.
Incredible.
And that's 50,000.
That's really incredible. Okay, what
But-
about this guy?
Okay, so believe it, this is a very expensive watch. This is a very rare white gold 39 millimeter with a salmon dial.
Oh, may I?
Yeah, you can see.
Oh, yeah,
these-
you can feel immediately.
You can see these posted on the internet for $200,000. I remember 10 years ago, this was a $40,000 watch.
Incredible. And how much are you asking for it? What is it worth today?
So we need for this, I think I need 170.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But that's what, if you want this watch, that's what you got to pay for it.
And then this guy?
15500 OR on a strap.
Is this 41 millimeter? Or
This is the
39?
big one. This is the 41. These are fetching, or these are not fetching. I should say these are asking price is in the 80s to low 90s right now. If you can buy one for retail, you're going to save yourself almost $30,000.
Amazing.
By the way, where's your watch?
I don't. All my watches are in the bank. They're all in the bank. Beverly Hills has become a crazy place. No earring, no watch, no valuables.
That's true, no earring either.
Nothing. I mean, it's just.
Wow, this watch is about $20,000, 35 millimeter AP. So this is about the most
Ladies, right?
It's a mid-size. I'm actually wearing one too.
That's why he's saying not a ladies.
Yeah, it's a lady's watch.
Fits my wrist perfectly.
Do you know, I did notice you wearing that earlier.
It
I
actually
love
looks
how
good on you.
slim they are.
For
Yeah.
me,
Yeah, it does look
yeah,
good
I
Oh,
on
wear a
you, yeah.
6 3/4 inch.
But a
wrist.
lot of ladies would wear that watch, right?
A very cool woman would rock
There
this
you
watch.
go. There you go.
Grand Prix, rose gold AP
Let's go back to
offshore.
this. How much are these now?
Oh, this is 20,000. Let's say 5 years ago, honestly, this would have been 5-6 grand.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're quite a bit run up. Grand Prix offshore. So these, let's say going back, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, they were $55,000.
Right.
Guess how much they've appreciated to now?
80.
$55,000.
Hasn't moved.
They haven't moved.
Why is that?
Offshores
Just
are,
never that popular in this
because
configuration.
everybody
right?
went to this whole thin Royal Oak.
Nice watch
These
though.
big fat offshores are not what people are after right now.
So a
That's the trend.
42 brick, the 42 millimeter
Yeah,
brick,
yeah.
they're quite expensive now, right? They're
Yeah.
like 90 to 100,000.
Yeah, in rose. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
In yellow, they're even higher.
And they were, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. And those were, what, 50?
50, 55, 60,000.
That's what Manny wears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is just unpopular.
It's not it's not the trend. Everybody wants the Royal Oaks, the thinner ones,
Right.
these.
And
all
it
of
used to
these.
be they wanted the bigger ones.
And they only used to want the offshores, and nobody wanted these.
Isn't that strange? And you think it'll flip again?
That's the trend. I mean, who knows? I remember even us discussing watches like going back 10 years ago. We were thinking, will it ever be cool to wear a small, thin watch?
Right.
There it is.
And the
right
answer is
there.
no.
Well, Rolex are marketing the 36 millimeter Presidents again. Yeah, they've got some pretty dials in them.
Really?
And yeah, because they had the 41, and then they decided that was too big, and they went to the 40, which really made not a lot of sense, right? 1 millimeter difference.
It wears better, but yeah.
And now they've got a new line of 36s. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to bring it back. Who knows? Who knows?
Nautilus 5712. This used to be a $60,000 watch, jumped into the 80s. I thought that was crazy. These are on Chrono 24 for $200,000 right now.
Steel.
In stainless steel.
Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no
the
sense.
5711 in the blue dial is around 170, so that's why this is a little bit more. It's got power reserve moon phase and the date.
That's shocking.
So yeah.
And this is a watch that I never understood how it could be where it is today, value-wise.
Yeah, and you probably don't even know what you're looking at.
It's an Equinaut of sorts, right?
Right, but you know, this is gold. This is white gold.
I didn't know that.
All right,
I didn't know that.
It's called the 5168. They made this originally with the blue dial, then they came out with the khaki green. So this watch is retail, I think it's in the 60s. If you want to buy this watch right now, it's still going to cost you $150 to $170.
For a watch that really doesn't do anything other than tell you the time and give you the date.
It doesn't make any logical sense.
And it's not particularly attractive, is it? Do you like that, Adam?
No, I'm not really a fan. No.
And the steel version of this is also crazily priced.
Yeah,
right now.
the steel version I think is in around $80,000.
And how much is it list?
Less than 30, or right around 30.
Don't understand it. It's the
Yeah.
hype. It's social media.
Would you say that Patek is a good brand to be in right now?
In Aquanauts and Nautiluses, yes.
Yeah.
But all the other ones, not so
Yeah.
much.
But here's the point. The point is, okay, so we think the market is crashing. Still, go try to buy this watch for less than $150,000, $160,000.
So what was
You're
it
not
at
really going to be able to find it.
What was it at its peak?
I think that people are asking almost $190,000, $200,000 at its peak. Yeah.
And it looks like a
Incredible.
Swatch watch, doesn't it, really? I mean,
Like a Swatch.
Hey, Swatch watches are cool. They're a good
yeah,
investment.
they are a good investment, yeah.
That's my roots.
Yeah.
Don't
Look
forget.
at this,
Oh,
what
the
is
Swatch,
it?
the Omega.
The Omega. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that for a second.
The Moon
Yeah.
Swatch.
So that watch is a $400 watch that we're selling for $7,000 or $8,000,
Yep.
and now you can buy them online at no premium.
Yep.
Explain that to me.
Okay, you're asking the wrong guy. I've actually haven't touched that market at all, so I don't.
So you have no
wanna-
idea?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm just being honest.
Adam, explain that to me.
Well, I mean, I don't profess to be an expert, but do you remember when we did that trip down Melrose? We went down and we did that Hypebeast video where we got to look at like trainers that were crazy. The Nike swoosh had been printed the wrong way around, and it was worth 200 grand.
Right.
Same type of thing. People like Supreme did these collaborations, and then things got more expensive. I genuinely think it was just that. Obviously, everybody knows.
But
the
it's not
speed-
limited. That's the thing.
Exactly, and that's why it makes no sense.
If it was limited, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Right? But this is something that today you can go online and order.
Yeah.
Right? For $450.
Well, I don't know if you still can, but you will be able to.
Or that.
It's not a limited run watch. And that's what Swatch actually kept putting out emails telling people, hey, these aren't available right now because I just don't think they imagined the demand they would get, but they will be back. And because they're not profiting, Swatch aren't profiting. None of the other Swatch watches are going up in price because they're Swatch watches.
Makes no sense.
But because this is the Speedmaster that already has this like cult following, it just follows that. Right?
Perfect example is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual with the Tiffany dial, the 41 millimeter.
The cheapest one Rolex makes.
$5,500. I bought that watch for $5,500. If I'm not mistaken, they're trading. Some of them are just astronomical, but like 70 grand, 80 grand. And that was, I think, generated because of the Patek Tiffany that went for, I don't know, $6 million, but that was for charity.
Right, exactly.
Right? So I don't understand how all these dealers have associated that one watch with this crazy price hike.
It's fashion, isn't it? It's literally trends and fashion.
It's lunacy.
It's blue, so therefore it's desirable now because there was this expensive one.
Yeah, and the thing about the Patek, it actually said Tiffany on the dial. Right? The
yeah,
Rolex
it was
one just
legit.
happens to be turquoise.
Right,
So-
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly right. So we discussed this one already.
We didn't discuss this one.
Aha.
So talk about that,
So
because that's
that-
another crazy piece.
So that's the Yacht-Master with the rainbow sapphire dial. Again, this watch is trading close to double list. So if you want this watch, it's again between 150 and 170, this rose gold Yacht-Master.
Unbelievable. And what was this at its peak?
At its peak, it's again close to 200.
Really? Mm-hmm. So the trend is basically they're falling, some of them more than others, but you think it will stabilize?
I do think it'll stabilize, especially if somehow, God willing, this war can end.
No, please.
I think we're going to see a big bounce and a recovery in this watch market.
That and the economy, starts to revamp.
Not to mention, China is shut down right now with COVID.
I know.
So
Isn't that crazy?
So that is also affecting the market as well.
I know, it's crazy. Well, I know everybody always likes to see if you've got any, I don't want to call them freebies, bargains.
Deals.
Deals. Do you have any deals, Seth?
Exclusive offers.
All right, so let's go. Let me offer some stuff real quick.
One thing before, sorry to interrupt you, but
problem.
No, one thing. I notice your inventory is lower than it normally is, and that's because you are being careful in the marketplace right now. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. So I'm really not speculating. I'm not buying watches really per se right now. I'm doing my best just to find out what my customers are looking for and then acquire the watch that they want to acquire and
makes sense.
just broker the deal.
I'll attest to that.
It's a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier.
He's done it for me too, so yeah, good guy. Okay, what have we got?
All right, so let me just show some watches that I think I've got some pretty good deals on. Here's a little white gold Lang & Son.
Pretty watch.
That's 14.5.
White gold, right?
Yep. Here's a Rose Jaeger alarm.
So let's talk about the name. Is it Jaeger or Jaeger?
I think we've had this conversation.
I know. I don't know the answer.
I'm sure you're right.
I don't know if I am or I'm not. But anytime I say Jaeger, which is what I call them too, everybody shouts at me. So.
Most Americans call it Jaeger. 15,000.
And the retail on that would be what?
Close to 30. Here's another Jaeger World Time. This is 12,000. There's a beautiful IWC moon phase.
White gold or steel?
Hand wind. This is in stainless steel for 75. I love this watch
It's
personally.
a beautiful dial.
I love that dial.
Actually, I like that.
Beautiful
I
dial.
was thinking about wearing that watch. That's very nice. Pretty cool. Panerai ceramic for 11,000.
So it's ceramic as opposed to.
Yeah, that's actually ceramic.
Oh, I didn't even know they made one of those.
Mm-hmm. And then nice again. Another rose gold Panerai. This is called the 389, I believe. This is 20,000.
What is the retail of that watch?
I think it's 30, but I could be wrong. But I think it's right around 30. This is the ultra thin.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty watch, isn't it?
cool.
Octa Finissima. Yeah, these are
Let me
very.
see that
These
one,
are actually
please.
very popular right now.
That's interesting because from the side there, through the lens, it looked like an AP. Like it looked like the one you were wearing.
Yeah.
That's a weird look. Like the square, it's square, but it's also
back of
whoa.
it.
That's cool.
That really is cool. And this is new, right? Or at least it looks
Flip
new.
her over. Let's
Is
see
it
the
new?
other side.
It's let's call it next to new. But again, that's the trend. Thin.
Yeah.
This is what people want.
Yeah, the opposite of an offshore.
Right. It's 14,000.
Actually, yeah. Hold this up, Michael, in comparison.
hold it.
You got it. Just so we can see where the trends have gone.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Wow. That's wild.
The base plate is nearly as thick as the entire watch, right? This base plate.
Wow.
Also a nice watch. Cool.
And
Let me give that back to you.
a little Chopard for 7,000. Solid gold Chopard.
That looks like a Cartier bit, doesn't it?
Does,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
like the tonneau shape. Exactly right.
Pretty watch. And that's 7,000?
Yeah. Solid gold.
Or $14.99 on Amazon with diamonds. Did you ever see? Actually, I bet you that video would make you vomit. We did a video on these like Amazon cheapy watches, and we found like a Cartier Big Bang.
Oh, they were so bad.
No, not Big
Actually,
Bang,
that's not fair.
I did watch that video.
Some of them were decent,
You
right?
should start wearing those in Beverly Hills.
I'd be scared. If I'm going to get shot for something, I'll get shot for a real one, right?
There's a two-tone root beer.
Oh, that's nice.
And this is in your bargain basement?
No, this is not bargain basement.
Oh, okay.
This is an example, though, of a watch that's come down. So these were pushing a little over $30,000 for this watch. This watch we can now sell for, I think, right around $25,500.
That's a big difference on a
Wow.
watch at that price,
Yeah,
right?
and on a Rolex
And
as well.
that's a brand new watch that I use.
What is the list on one of these? Probably got to be, what, 18, 19?
I think it's a little bit less. I think it's around 15 or 16, but yeah.
Is it? That's a pretty watch.
That
right?
is pretty watch. You
And
have
these
one of
are
those,
coming
don't you?
No, I have a gold one.
Oh, that's
Old
right.
gold
Yeah.
one.
Here, Batman's came down a little bit. These were 21, 22 for the older Batman reference.
Which is more desirable, the Batgirl with the Jubilee bracelet or the Oyster?
I think the girls are more desirable.
And there's a price difference?
About $2,000 difference. 18.5.
This is 18.5. That's the cheapest I've heard of one of these
Yeah.
going for. Quite honestly, I
I'm
mean,
shocked.
I thought it would be
They've come down.
in the 20s.
Even things like this have come down about 10%.
Really?
So nothing's crashing. It's a dip,
Right.
a blip.
But will it stop or will it continue? In your humble opinion.
What we'll do, Seth, we'll do two different versions, and then I'll cut between the two on YouTube so that you're always
It's like
right.
that I can be right.
Yeah.
I think.
Look, we had a crystal ball.
Yeah. I think technically speaking, the market's going to continue to go down a little bit. It's not going to crash, and then it's going to stabilize. The war's going to end, and things are going to pick up to where it used to be. But I think we still have a little bit more.
Coming down before it
I think so.
stabilizes.
I think so. But,
Well,
but there's not much more it can go down when you're talking about just like stainless steel, generic sport model Rolexes. I mean, if you want to buy this watch, if you're looking to buy yourself a stainless steel Rolex, just buy it at today's prices. What are you going to save yourself? $1,000 at the most.
These are how much?
13.5 for the 40 millimeter.
That's all this is now?
Yeah, but the 41 millimeter is the one that's about 16.5.
Right.
For brand
But
new.
without a date, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, it's whatever, $3,000 less, something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, this has been
$2,000 less.
enlightening. And let's see if you're right with your predictions.
Yeah,
right?
let's see. If we go back to my videos from 3 years ago where we said best investment watches, we're talking about the Hulk
Right.
at the
right.
time for $12,000.
Yes.
That is still a $28,000 to $30,000 watch.
Isn't that something?
So for that one, I was right.
but I still think,
And Daytona is at 20 grand. We're right.
but I still think that watches are always going to be a good investment because even when they go down, over time it catches itself up and they will continue to have value.
Right.
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to sell your watch and you're still holding it, then you haven't lost anything.
Exactly.
It's still an asset in
And
your collection.
the other thing is if you want one of these and you want it and you can afford it, it really doesn't matter what you pay for it because you're paying for something you're going to wear and enjoy.
Right.
So anyway, well, Seth, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
As always, fun, enlightening, and yeah, so lots of watches.
In it to win it.
There you go. See ya.